November 19, 1961. Off the southern coast of New Guinea, 23-year-old Michael Rockefeller, son of Nelson Rockefeller, grandson of one of the wealthiest families in American history, is crossing the Arafura Sea by catamaran when the vessel capsizes. Michael and his companion are clinging to the overturned hull. A rescue boat has been called. Michael makes a decision. He tells his companion he is going to swim to shore. The shore is at least 15 kilometers away. He ties empty fuel cans to himself for buoyancy and swims toward the coast. He is never seen again. The official finding: drowned, lost at sea, never found. But in 2014, an investigative journalist spent time in the villages of the Asmat people, the indigenous people who lived on that coast, and came back with something. Evidence that Michael Rockefeller had made it to shore, and that the Asmat had killed and eaten him. Michael Clark Rockefeller was the son of Nelson Rockefeller, then governor of New York and later vice president of the United States. He was a Harvard graduate and an anthropologist who had been collecting art from the Asmat people of New Guinea for the Museum of Primitive Art in New York. His expedition was legitimate academic work. The Asmat people of the south coast of New Guinea had a tradition of head-hunting and ritual cannibalism, practices that were documented by anthropologists and had been the subject of Dutch colonial prohibition. By 1961, the practices had officially been suppressed, though they continued in remote areas. Michael had spent months in the region collecting art and building relationships with various Asmat communities. His disappearance shocked the world, not simply because of who he was, but because of where he had been. The swimming decision. When the catamaran capsized on November 19th, Michael and his companion Renee was clung to the hull. They were approximately 15 to 25 kilometers from the shore. The current was moving them parallel to the coast rather than toward it. After approximately 12 hours in the water, Michael told Wazing he was going to swim for it. He estimated he could make shore. He tied 2 empty fuel cans to himself for buoyancy. He entered the water. Renee Wazing was rescued the following day. Michael Rockefeller was never found. Nelson Rockefeller immediately flew to New Guinea and organized one of the largest search operations in the region's history. More than 20 ships, multiple aircraft, and hundreds of people searched the coastline for over 2 weeks. Nothing was found. Carl Hoffman's investigation. In 2014, journalist Carl Hoffman published a book called Savage Harvest, based on years of investigation. He had spent significant time in the Asmat region, learning the language and culture and interviewing elderly Asmat community members. What he found was significant. Multiple elderly Asmat people, speaking independently, described events from 1961 that corresponded to Michael Rockefeller's disappearance. They described a white man coming ashore, being speared by village warriors and being killed and eaten. The killing was not random. The Asmat community had a documented reason for hostility toward white outsiders in 1961. Just months before Michael's disappearance, Dutch colonial officers had killed several Asmat men during an incident that the community believed required retaliatory killing. Michael Rockefeller, in the Asmat worldview, may have been killed not as a stranger but as a specific act of retaliation, a white man for the white men who had killed their own. The evidence. Hoffman documented specific accounts from specific villages that matched the time frame and geography of Michael's disappearance. He found that anthropologists who had worked in the region in the 1960s had heard similar accounts, but had not reported them fully, partly to protect their own research relationships in the area. There were no photographs, no physical evidence, no formal confession. The accounts were oral testimony from elderly people describing events from 50 years prior. What the family believes. The Rockefeller family has never officially acknowledged the findings in Hoffman's investigation. Michael Rockefeller was officially declared dead in 1964. His death remains officially listed as drowning. Nelson Rockefeller, who died in 1979, never spoke publicly about what he believed had happened to his son. Carl Hoffman's book is the most detailed accounting of what the available evidence suggests happened on the south coast of New Guinea after Michael Rockefeller reached the shore. If he reached the shore, a 23-year-old Rockefeller decides to swim 15 kilometers in the shark-filled Arafura Sea rather than wait for rescue. His companion waits. His companion is saved. Nobody official has ever confirmed what happened next. A journalist went to those villages 50 years later and came back with oral testimony that the richest family in America's son was killed and eaten. Subscribe to WhisprFrame. Michael Rockefeller is one of those cases where the answer might be out there. It just hasn't been officially acknowledged.